So what I'd like to share with you today is some thoughts about how you can leverage Energy Star industrial tools and resources, whether you're a company that makes stuff or whether you're a company that helps people who are making stuff. So let's see, do I use one of these? Yeah? Is it this thing for the slide changer? That one. Okay, I don't want this one. Big green button. So I think we all know what's possible in the industrial space. There's a lot of opportunities out there. I think probably in different presentations you've heard today, impressive numbers about energy savings. And we see it all the time in the Energy Star program through our various partners. They report back to us what we see in our recognition programs. But I think the main challenge is, why isn't this more common? In larger corporations and sort of corporate America, bigger companies, we see a lot of amazing things happening with energy management. Once you start dropping down to sort of the smaller, medium-sized type manufacturing firms, companies that are more like in the supply chain, it's all over the place. And I think most of us kind of have some feelings and ideas about why this occurs. So the real question is then, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to change this? And so for Energy Star, our sort of take on how we can help change this is by really trying to make energy efficiency more of a cultural value. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, actually, who is from Europe, and we were lamenting about some of the issues you face if you're someone who's out there promoting energy efficiency. And he said, the big difference between the US and Europe is really comes down to culture. Energy management just isn't an important value. And some of that's because energy's dirt cheap in America. Some of it's just simply that people haven't really thought about it. We take it all for granted. It's always there. We don't have any real reliability problems, except for maybe thunderstorms and occasional hurricanes and whatnot. But generally, it's pretty solid. So part of what Energy Star has been all about is trying to make energy efficiency more of a cultural value. We know safety in the manufacturing sector, right, is something now everybody pays a lot of attention to. That didn't used to actually be the case 20 or 30 years ago. We're trying to do the same thing with energy to make it more of a cultural value across lots of different parts of the sector. And I think most of you know that certainly in the consumer product market, probably your own house, your own equipment maybe in your office, you see the Energy Star brand. And so we know it's possible for people to begin to value things that are energy efficient. But how do you translate that into a manufacturing or business setting? And so the way we believe that you can do that is through recognition. And when you combine recognition with branding, let's see if my animation works here. There we go. When you combine it with branding, and Energy Star has been very good about branding, it can become a really powerful energy management tool. It's not the only tool, but it's a very powerful tool because what it does is it helps to make energy management and energy in general more visible. More visible as a cost, but also more visible in terms of who are the people who are responsible. Or maybe you need to make somebody responsible for energy. It makes it more visible to management. The other thing about recognition is it's something we all understand. And one of the challenges, if you're in the energy management, energy efficiency world, is we don't have the sexy solar panel or windmill that everyone kind of points to and says, oh, that's really cool. This really demonstrates that we're cutting edge and we're protecting the environment, or we're strategic about how we think about energy use, right? I mean, energy management, energy efficiency is a bit abstract. But when you tie that to recognition, it becomes more tangible for people. And that's part of what we're trying to do with Energy Star, is to make it something tangible and make it something visible. And so the way we do this is through two main types of recognition programs. We offer Energy Star certification, which is a best-in-class type recognition for certain types of industrial plants. And then we have another type of recognition program called the Energy Star Challenge for Industry, which any manufacturing plant can take, which recognizes plants that reduce their energy intensity by 10% or more within a 5-year time frame. So I'm going to go a little bit through about what these are so you have some background on it. I think way to think about this is if you're a company, you should be thinking about, is this a recognition program I should participate? But if you're somebody who works with companies, you should think about, well, how can I leverage this in my business? Can I bring this to my customers? If I'm about to do a project in compressed air that I know is probably going to reduce the energy intensity of that plant by 10%, I should sign that plant up for the challenge before I do that project. because then I can help that project get recognized, and that's going to help my contact, my champion at that plant, be more successful, and that may enable me to get that other project that's even, maybe it's more capital intensive, but it may lay the framework for more work in the future, right? So this is a way you can leverage it as well. So Energy Star certification is the same type of thing that you see on like a refrigerator, on a computer. It recognizes something that is considered the most energy efficient amongst its class. And the way we do this is we bring industry sectors together. We call this an industrial focus. It's just a fancy word for a working group. And we work together with that industry to create a benchmarking tool that enables us to essentially score a plant on a scale of 1 to 100. And we use a benchmark of 75 to say, well, if your plant scores a 75 or higher, then you are eligible for Energy Star certification. And there's a whole bunch of plants that have earned it. It's something you got to earn annually because that helps promote continuous improvement. But the challenge with the certification is that we only have it available for a limited number of plants. There's about 18 different plant types right now that can get certified. So it's great if you're someone like Brett, whose plant has earned Energy Star certification down there, I think, longer than anyone else in the United States, right? Canton, 2006 onward. It's great for him because he's in the auto industry, and we've got a bunch of tools for the auto industry. But if you're like a specialty plastic extruder, well, we don't unfortunately have an EPI for you. And if you're a really specialty company that, really there's 2 of your types of, factories in the world, unfortunately, we're probably never going to be able to benchmark you. So it's a useful tool for the sectors that we're able to benchmark. All the benchmarks are available on our website. And you can learn a lot more about it. I'm not going to really go through this, but I think if you talk to people who have used it, they'll tell you that they're incredibly useful. And you'll see that there's plants all across America that have earned certification. So because we can't recognize a lot of different types of plant types out there, we were asked by companies that become Energy Star partners whether we could offer some other kind of recognition for their facilities. And so in 2010, we rolled out something called the Energy Star Challenge for Industry. And this is essentially, think of it as like a pledge drive or a walkathon to save energy, right? You pledge that you're going to save energy. All you have to do is literally just put in some information on an online form on a website about your baseline, your contact information, and off you go. And it's not a legal agreement with the US EPA that's committing you to this energy savings, and if you don't achieve it, my colleagues in our enforcement office are going to come after you. It's not that. It's really an opportunity for you, if you're an energy manager, to say, I need to get more people on board. I'm going to sign up for this challenge, and then I'm going to tell them, hey, we made this commitment to Energy Star. I need you to help me find all those compressed air leaks because we got to achieve this. It's something that you can leverage to try to build teams, get more people involved, maybe get some increased visibility for your energy program with your management. So any company, manufacturing company in the United States can take it. If you're Canadian, you can sign up with Natural Resources Canada because they administer the same program in Canada. And actually, if you're an Energy Star partner and you've got plants in other parts of the world, we'll let you take the Energy Star Challenge in other countries. So for example, General Motors has every single one of their plants all over the world in the challenge because they want to maintain a high visibility program throughout their company to support their energy program. It's a easy program to participate. I will say that I think most of the companies that are participating in it tend to be larger companies that tend to be a little bit more publicly oriented in terms of communicating what they're doing. But we see, an increasing number of smaller companies getting involved. There's a few utility programs like Consumers Energy, who's here at this meeting. They actually promote it to some of their partners. ComEd, I think, is working to promote it to their strategic energy management cohorts as well. So again, it's something that you can leverage and use, and we've seen great participation by companies that are part of the Energy Star network. It's easy to participate in. It doesn't involve a lot of paperwork. If a company does, if you're a planner or if you work with a company that does make that 10% reduction, there's a very simple M&V process that you go through. You get your basically your data verified by a professional engineer who certifies it. They send that to us. We review it. and then we send out an award, and including a letter to the CEO. And if you were in the session yesterday with Jim Kibitsky, he'll tell you that that letter that gets sent to the CEO is incredibly powerful, because when a letter from the EPA gets sent to your CEO, there's almost a 100% open rate. Usually with the corporate counsel present, and maybe the lawyers that they hire from Washington there, it gets opened. And when someone opens that up and it says, congratulations, your plan achieved the challenge, and then it actually thanks the people that you tell us to thank. So maybe the energy manager, maybe the plant people, that gets back down to those people. And that, again, increases the visibility of the energy program and helps build support. And that's what we're trying to do, right? Build support for energy management, build support for programs, build this into your organizational culture. So again, it's a very easy program to participate. And this is just some examples of the type of recognition materials that we offer, just to get an idea of what's out there. So to date, there's actually, these are the numbers at the end of December. It's actually more like 500 plants have achieved the challenge. We've seen a lot of energy savings, so it is definitely achievable. The average reduction is about a 20% in 2 years. So we know that there's a lot of opportunities out there. And it's just a matter of getting people motivated and focused. And that's why we see people participate, because it does help to motivate. It does help to drive additional savings, and it does help to demonstrate leadership. The other thing that it also helps to do, depending on which sector you may work in, it may actually show your customers that you are doing something proactive on the environment as well. And so whether you sell to someone like Walmart, whether you sell to one of the OEM auto industries, they're looking for companies doing this sort of stuff. And this is just some additional information about what we see in terms of how effective recognition can actually be. And I think get a lot of engineers in a room, they kind of sometimes think like, that's nice, but really it's down to the math, and that's true, but you would be surprised how much a little recognition can go as far as driving results. So in addition to providing recognition, we also provide a lot of sort of energy management tools. Our focus at Energy Star has been really more on the people side of things. How do you build teams? How do you communicate to employees? How do you organize an energy management program? So we've got a ton of resources. All these resources are on our website. You can download them. If you're somebody who works with companies, and you've got a customer that's interested more in understanding what can they do around energy management. Maybe they're not quite ready for ISO 50001, or maybe they're thinking about the 50001 Ready program that DOE has. Have them take a look at our assessment matrix. It's real simple. They can take a look at that and see where they stand in terms of their practices. If you're interested in videos, we got a whole bunch of cool videos now on energy management. Rod's been talking a lot about treasure hunts. We just put up a new video that shows you a treasure hunt at a Toyota facility and talks about how you organize and execute one as well. So we've got a lot of resources out there. Like I said, they're all online. You can find them at our website. The new thing that we've done is we've now put out a Energy Star sort of treasure hunt toolkit. And this slide actually predates the toolkit. It just went live a week or two ago. But now we've actually put out some basic detail sheets, which are a tool that you use to calculate savings. I mentioned the videos. We're creating treasure maps, which are basically just checklists for common energy findings in different types of space types. And we have a couple different guides that you can take a look at. We have seen within the Energy Star network treasure hunts to be very effective in terms of building site energy programs. And perhaps the most important thing to think about it is because they are not threatening for plant employees, and you bring plant employees into the process of executing the treasure hunt. So even if you've got a recalcitrant maintenance department that never wants to do anything on energy management, that you've been trying to change for years, you bring them in on a treasure hunt, and then you help them identify and quantify the energy savings, and then you have that person make a presentation to the plant manager or some other vice president or senior leadership person within the company that says, I found all these problems, maybe they were responsible for them, but I found these problems and this is how much we're gonna save by fixing it. I will guarantee you, you will see some behavioral change in that individual. because you are taking it from being something like an audit or assessment, and if I come to your house and audit you, you're going to be a little anxious, right? But if I come to your house and say, we're going to do a treasure hunt, you think, well, you're kind of corny, but, what do I have to lose, right? It's that human psychology that helps make this incredibly effective. It takes it from being, you didn't do something, you were doing something wrong, why didn't you fix this, and flips it to being something more like positive redirection, like what you try to do with your children, right? Redirect them into something positive, like this is the opportunity, this is something that we can now do to fix and find a solution. And it's a very effective thing. And Toyota came up with it years ago. We've seen it spread across all the industrial partners that we work with. And so if you want some more resources and information, take a look at what we've got on our website. It is a useful tool. So the question is, though, what is the most commonly found opportunity during an energy treasure hunt? What do you guys think? It's compressed air related issues, right? Leaks, inappropriate uses, too much pressure, so on. Compressed air leaks, right? They're like the diabetes of the industrial energy world. It's a chronic problem, and if left untreated, it's going to be very expensive. And, when people tell me, oh, we're never going to make the Energy Star Challenge, 10% is too much, it's like, I bet you can fix all those compressed air leaks and make the Energy Star Challenge. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. Lastly, companies can become Energy Star partners. Being an Energy Star partner is really just another energy management tool that you can use to leverage the Energy Star brand and get some more visibility for your program, because in order to become a partner, you have to have your senior executive sign a letter. So that means if you're the energy champion, you got to get up in front of that manager and get them to ask you some questions about why are we doing this? Why are we going to sign something with the EPA? You can make your pitch. If they sign that letter, then that gives you a little bit more, we call it air cover, when you go back to your plants or you go back to your factory and you want to say, hey, we need to do some energy projects, and someone else is like, okay, go away. You can say, but no, really, our CEO just signed this letter for Energy Star. We really got to do some energy projects. So that's really what the Energy Star partnership is about. It's a tool that you can use. We have an annual meeting. We have a network of companies that get together annually, and within some sectors we get together more frequently and do some best practice sharing. But beyond that, it's a fairly limited in terms of what the type of support that we're able to provide these days. So like I said, it's not a legally binding commitment, but really what it is it's part of getting that organizational commitment to build a stronger energy management program. This graph, this sort of flow chart type thing is just an illustration of sort of a framework that we promote as a organizational approach to better energy management. So with that, I guess I don't know if we're doing questions or not, but I'm happy to take some questions. But yeah.
What if a manufacturer, from their long learning about energy efficiency, builds a brand new plant?
Yep.
That's super energy efficient.
Hopefully so.
Are they completely out of any chance of getting recognized for that achievement?
So what I would say with the challenge is I have seen companies build the new state-of-the-art plant, still take the challenge, and still achieve it. So even if you build a, quote, state-of-the-art plant, is it actually fully commissioned? So it's not necessarily out of reach. I think it depends on the circumstances. If it's a plant where we have a Energy Star rating or benchmark, then presumably that plant's going to score high, and you should get certified. But I have seen that there are plants out there, particularly ones that get LEED certified, that don't always score well on the Energy Star ratings. And sometimes that's often because they're not at full capacity. And so, if you're not at full production, you're not going to score well on an energy intensity based metric. So
in follow-up, what if a company started an aggressive energy efficiency program 3 years ago?
Yep.
And now they're awakened to this opportunity for recognition with Energy Star. Can they use baseline data from 4 and 5 and 6 years ago to make their case?
No, we don't usually go back retrospectively. If you were part of a utility program that we work with, we might let you use that baseline, but we want you to start a new baseline. And in my experience is that even if you've done a lot of great things, there's still room for improvement. I mean, Brett, how much has Nissan saved since you guys worked with Energy Star over the years?
Well, the number is quite staggering what we've been able to do since we started the program.
Yeah. So continuous improvement, right? There's always things you can do to optimize things. And what we typically see is that even if you think something is commissioned, how well was it really commissioned? Things break, air, things under pressure leak, steam, air, things get modified, set points get overridden. There's always things you can do. So,
It does seem that the low-hanging fruit grows back.
Yep.
That you have to continually try to improve that.
Yep. It's kind of like pulling weeds. It's always going to be there. So thank you very much. I'll be around if you have additional questions.